15 years ago, Visceral Games, the same folks that made Dead Space so terrifying that I still check air vents, decided that the world needed a hack and slash adaptation of the 14th century Italian poem, The Divine Comedy, and that's how Dante's Inferno was born. Back when it launched in 2010, my 11-year-old self was too busy getting abused in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies and inventing new ways to fail my maths tests to not even know that this game existed. Fast forward to 2025, and here I am, voluntarily descending through the 9 circles of hell for a platinum trophy. According to PlayStation profiles, this platinum is a 2 out of 10 in difficulty, roughly 15 hours to complete, and requires 2 story playthroughs and a soul-destroying 50-wave survival mode called the Gates of Hell. Sounds like the perfect weekend, right? Before we do descend any further into hell, if you do enjoy platinum trophy content, or just a man suffering for his viewers, please click that like and subscribe button and maybe catch me on a future live stream. I hope you enjoy this journey. So like any platinum journey, I like to have a structure before diving in. So here are some of the big trophies that I'll be tracking in the background. Holy Man and Man of Evil for maxing out either the holy or unholy skill tree, hence the 2 playthroughs needed as you don't get enough XP to max them both out in one playthrough. Poetry in Motion for landing a 660 hit combo because 665 just isn't evil enough. And then a bunch of collectible trophies are needed, such as collecting light relics, dark relics, 30 pieces of silver, finding all of Beatrice's stones, and then absolving or punishing 27 shades of Inferno. And then lastly, you need to collect all of Virgil's commentaries, and I will warn you there are quite a few of these. Just make sure to interact with him a load of times until he disappears. With all of that said, there are quite a lot of things that need collecting in this game, which can actually be quite off-putting if you want to get this done in your first playthrough. So be cautious on this one, it's up to you how you tackle it. I tackled it all in one playthrough, and then the second playthrough was essentially just an XP cleanup, but you may want to play differently. So now that we know what trophies we're keeping an eye out for, let's jump into Dante's tragic story. Dante is a crusader with a moral compass as about reliable as my sleep schedule. He returns home to find his beloved Beatrice murdered and her soul literally dragged to hell. Instead of grieving like any normal person, he decides to rip death's own scythe from the Reaper's bony hands. Within this game, we will find ourselves travelling through the different layers of hell, trying to save our wife from the devil himself. To start things off then, we do see ourselves complete a flashback Crusader sequence and earn our first trophy for killing our first enemy, and we'll also earn a trophy shortly after for killing 30 minions for the Holy Warrior trophy. We then decide to abandon all hope and step into hell for the first time for another trophy. It is worth noting, when you do encounter enemies, you can absolve them for holy XP, or you could punish them for unholy XP. As mentioned, I will need to level up both of the skill trees, however for simplicity, my first playthrough will be purely related to absolving enemies. So Dante's Inferno has quite a cool gameplay structure where you'll find yourself descending through the 9 circles of hell. The first stage you work through is Limbo, and you can think of Limbo as hell's awkward waiting room with really bad Wi-Fi. In this area, you'll meet the poet Virgil for the first time, and as I mentioned earlier, you'll need to make sure that you interact with him to get all of his commentaries for that collectible trophy. Also at this stage, we do continue our collectible hunt and we are rewarded with the Relic Hunter trophy for obtaining our first relic. Who would have thought?
Can you believe that?
I would also recommend, actually, if you are trying to go for this platinum trophy, to watch the Boss Collections All Collectibles guide on YouTube, as they do take you in order and it is a pretty good full comprehensive guide which I found, so thank you very much for that one, bud. But anyway, as we travel further into Limbo, we meet Sharon, who kind of looks like Eren from Attack on Titan. We then remove his head, and a little later into the chapter we have the opportunity to push his head into the abyss for a trophy. I do believe that this is missable, so just make sure you interact with it. And then a little bit later, another collectible type called a Beatrice stone is found, and then we earn a precious trophy. I feel like this trophy might belong in another franchise though. I was then introduced to some unbaptized babies and not only performed the 50 hit combination on them for being so ugly, I was also told I was a bad nanny. Sorry kids. And then as we reach the end of the chapter, we enter a boss fight with King Minos, and upon defeating him, you guessed it, we gained a trophy. The next circle of hell was Lust. Welcome to an endless storm of lost souls and a giant Queen Cleopatra and lots of nudity. If you've played this game before, then you'll know why I can't really show too much footage of this area, especially of Queen Cleopatra, as she does have some rather large mummy milkers present for pretty much all of this area. Within this stage of hell, we will continue the collectible aspect for absolving souls, and we did earn a trophy for 2 souls in particular, which is a forbidden love between Francesca and Paolo. This trophy again is missable. Being the area of Lust, you can imagine that the boss fight does delve quite heavy into the themes of nudity, and one aspect that was pretty well done was the narrative tie into it all. Dante confronts his guilt over betraying Beatrice with another woman before leaving for the Crusades. Lust forces him to face the consequences of giving into temptation, and upon finishing this boss fights, we do earn ourselves a trophy for this area, and then we continue our descent into the third area of hell, Gluttony. And if you thought Lust was weird, then please meet a giant 3-headed demon called the Cerberus who vomits molten goo like it's a party trick. This area opens with an epic battle between the two and does actually result in us getting a trophy. It's ironic that we earn quite a lot of trophies here in comparison to some of the other earlier stages, and I just found that we were really embracing the greed of this area. The following trophies were earned. So 2 were related to gathering different types of collectibles, 1 for getting 10 silver pieces, and also finding all 3 of the Beatrice stones. I then killed 30 demons in this area and also 20 enemies using magic. This area can mirror the Crusaders' overindulgence in violence and greed, which is pretty interesting I found. And there's a nice transition period here from gluttony to greed, and all you need to imagine here is a demonic version of the DuckTales coin pool. And then the boss fight for this area is Haro, I believe I've said that correctly, apologies if not, who is essentially a final boss finance bro, obsessed with turning everything into profit. This area again plays heavily on Dante's mind, as it shows the awful acts that Dante participated in while the Crusades were happening. For example, pillaging the cities and using faith as a tool for wealth. Dante is forced to recognize that this holy war was not only about salvation, but also about gold and power. We then transcend into the anger circle of hell, where we'll be fighting the literal definition of a river of rage. In this area, we earned ourselves a trophy for collecting 20 silver pieces and also collecting 60,000 souls, and souls are basically the XP that the game gives you for context. The trophies didn't stop there, as I replenished my health 20 times from a health fountain for the Give Me Strength trophy, and as our journey continued, Dante reflected on his rage that was unleashed during the Crusades, and we saw Beatrice's soul remain further out of reach from Dante as he was yet to master his rage. I think some anger management lessons are in order. As we close out this chapter, we see Felagas, a fire giant demon, I think that's how you say it, who is unwilling to ferry us into the next area of hell. So we do take matters into our own hands and enter the lower circles of the Inferno for a trophy to close out this area. The next circle of hell was Heresy, and welcome to the City of Flaming Tombs. Again, this area was fairly good for trophies. I restored my mana 20 times at mana fountains to become a sorcerer's apprentice, and we were also introduced to a new enemy type called the Heretics. These dudes can be quite awkward to kill as they are resistant to magic, so be careful. And upon killing 5 of these fellas, we also earned ourselves a trophy. If you're unfamiliar with what Heresy is, this is the rejection of truth, something Dante can be found guilty of as being part of this war and the mass killings. Heresy highlights to Dante that twisting faith for the wrong reasons is just as bad as not believing in it at all. As we finish this area, we are required to complete quite a cool platforming sequence to escape this circle of hell, and in turn this earns us the harrowing trophy. With our successful escape into the violence circle of hell, where even trees want to kill you, for me personally, I wanted to kill my controller as I kept making platforming errors. Oh, you're telling me you can't jump through that gap? And the PS3 games levels of, I don't know if it's just jank or user errors. I mean, it's a skill issue, isn't it? I'll shut up. In terms of the trophies, we knocked out quite a few in this area. 2 trophies were for finding all of the holy and unholy relics, and also finding and absolving Brunetto Latini, alongside finding 30 pieces of silver. In terms of collectibles, this was most of them wrapped up, with only a few more remaining. This area of the game hits quite deeply as Dante is forced to face the horrors of the violence he has committed. The boiling river reflects the blood in the spilled war, and the forest of of suicide shows the despair left behind by the destruction, and this circle really cements the fact that this holy war was just a poor excuse of using faith to kill innocent people. At one point during this chapter in the forest, Dante speaks with Beatrice's spirit, and instead of getting forgiveness, he is met with accusations and sorrow. This is quite the turning point for Dante, as he realizes that saving Beatrice isn't about fighting monsters, it's about atoning for his own sins. To close this circle, we fought Francesco, who was Dante's best friend and brother-in-law, in which they fought in the Crusade together. The boss design and entire fight was pretty intriguing in fairness, and upon victory, we got the Brotherhood trophy and progressed forward. Welcome to the 8th Circle of Hell, called Fraud, and this is the official scam center brought to you by Lucifer. Within this area, we killed 5 gluttons for the indigestion trophy, and again, quite a deep chapter, as for Dante, he was guilty of deception, and this chapter does see Dante confront the lies that he's told others, but also to himself to excuse his actions. I did enjoy how this Circle of Hell changed the gameplay dynamic and loop to stay fresh. In this area, you will need to complete 10 arena-like battles which require you to complete different challenges, some of which we'll come back to later to assist with some of the miscellaneous trophies. But for now, after we complete the Labyrinth of Lies and Illusions, we admit our biggest sin to Beatrice, and ultimately this frees her from hell with the Holy Cross's power, which purges any evil and takes her to heaven, which also earns us a bittersweet trophy.
Oh my god. I was stretching my leg, I've got a bit of a cramp and we get a trophy. Shit. That's gonna be some great footage there. Flip.
The 9th and final Circle of Hell is Treachery, which is a frozen wasteland where Lucifer resides. Everything down here is frozen, but not in the good Disney way. This area will see us collect the remaining collectible trophies alongside some miscellaneous ones. For instance, we killed 20 enemies using a counter move, we spoke to Virgil for the last time and collected all of his commentaries, and then lastly we punished or absolved all 27 shades of the Inferno for the Damned trophy. And as I said earlier, in our case we are absolving them all in this playthrough. Dante again must accept that his actions were not simply mistakes or weaknesses, but deliberate betrayals that shattered trust. Dante confronts Lucifer in an epic final battle with some great cinematics to conclude the game. I will just highlight the elephant in the room, quite literally. Lucifer is certainly packing quite a lot, and this boss fight was mainly me trying to avoid being hit in the face with his junk. Upon defeating Lucifer, we do reach the end of the game and pop our last story related trophy, Lucifer's Match. The ending itself is quite ambiguous, as it does confirm that Dante did in fact die during the Crusades and was unable to leave hell. The devil does try to tempt Dante with the souls that he's collected throughout the game to help him escape this prison, but Dante is smarter than that and declines, and essentially does an Uno reverse move and traps Lucifer into an icy imprisonment with the help of those souls. Dante does redeem himself and he does free Beatrice's soul, however Dante remains as Beatrice ascends to heaven. The last scene of this game indicates that Dante is free from his sinned past, but it might not be over yet, as we are hit with a to be continued screen and Lucifer's mischievous laugh.
To be continued? To be continued? What do you mean to be continued? There's only one of these games. You what? Making of baby special video, let's go. Well, I'm hoping that that's DLC and they didn't plan another game and it never gets made, but I'm pretty sure I can't even buy the DLC now in 2025. Like, the servers for it went down. Like, what does it mean to be continued? I mean, I feel like that was a good enough ending. It's just the to be continued, just
It's kind of frustrating, as I'm pretty sure we won't be getting a sequel to this game due to the studio shutting down. But never say never, am I right? If I had to guess, it kind of looked like Purgatory where Dante was stuck, which may have been where a sequel was set. Maybe somebody in the comments could enlighten me to how they interpreted this ending and potentially what a next game could be. So with the main game completed, we still had a bunch of trophies left with a second playthrough that we needed to do. I won't bother repeating the entire game, game as I basically just replayed it, and I was grinding out XP to reach level 7 with both the holy and unholy pathways, and then after getting them both to level 7 I was then able to max out the respective skill trees for the trophies as well. In total we got 4 trophies here, and then I needed to complete a 200 and 666 hit combo. But as I mentioned earlier, while in the 8th circle of hell you can use challenges to your advantage, as one of them gives you unlimited mana, so you can spam your magic moves, which are really good for getting high combinations. This might be possible in your first playthrough, but I did it on my second playthrough on the New Game Plus mode that it has, as I had all of the relics at my disposal which give you some buffs, and then I also had a lot more skills as well. The final trophy then between me and the platinum was the Gates of Hell, which is an arena mode that requires you to survive 50 waves without dying, which vary in difficulty. Being real, this trophy was actually fairly easy. It did take some time to complete, I think it was around maybe 30 minutes to do so, and I wouldn't say that any of the fights were particularly hard. Just make sure that you don't lose concentration and make a silly mistake and you'll be all good. With that mode completed, the platinum trophy was finally mine and I became the master of the Inferno. Woo!
Gates of Hell, let's go. And master of the Inferno. GG's, we have earned another trophy, or platinum trophy, as part of this challenge I'm doing. Dante's Inferno Platinum, thank you very much. My final thoughts were it was okay. It was okay. I thought it was going to be better, but nice to have another platinum off the list.
I really wanted to like Dante's Inferno, as it's often spoken about quite highly and hyped up to an extent, but I don't know why it just didn't really hit for me for some bizarre reason. Maybe it was because of the trophy roadmap being kind of intimidating with all of the collectibles and needing to line them up with the right playthroughs. I for sure probably would have enjoyed this game more so at release when I was innocent and not focused on trophy hunting, but I feel like games now are completely different to how they were in 2010, and there was a reasonable amount of jank in this game, especially when it came to the platforming. It was quite dodgy and it was quite frustrating at times, but again, it's the sign of the times. A lot of games during this period were like that, so I'm willing to cut it a little bit of slack. I will give this game its flowers though. The story was quite interesting as it covered a topic that I wanted to learn more about. I know there's actually like an anime movie of some sorts regarding Dante's Inferno, going into it in a bit more depth, and I know there's obviously the books on it, so I'd be keen to research them in my own time as well. Of course, if you do know any more about the game, I'd love to know about it below, because I think it was just a really interesting topic, and I do like it that I was able to experience it through a game and almost live it myself. Overall, if you're into hack and slash styled games and don't mind a dated looking game as well, then maybe this could be for you. But any game that requires 2 playthroughs kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, as it doesn't really add anything new to the game besides getting some new skills that you use for 5 minutes. And also with the ending being as ambiguous as it was and potentially open for a sequel that we're never going to get, that was also kind of jarring. As always, your support is always really appreciated, so if you did enjoy the video, a like and subscription would go a long way as we're trying to hit 10k subs. I am continuing to work on my wider platinum challenge video, and this is only a small part of it. Make sure to check the channel out to see some of the games that I've already played for this challenge, and be sure to stay subscribed with notifications on to see when that challenge video finally goes live. It's going to be a movie. Thank you so much and take it easy.